Welcome back into the Enrichment Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. There is no better place to buy a boat, folks. That is the Madisonville Marine slogan. That is the simple truth. The reason? Great selection, great prices, tremendous customer service. There's a reason they've been open for nearly 40 years. People keep going back to Madisonville. You buy one boat from these guys, you buy your second boat, you buy your third boat. New, used, whatever, Madisonville Marine. All right, back with the former players, some media guys. We're changing microphones here at the last second. What we're going to be doing today, instead of the usual positives and negatives, let's face it, there weren't a lot of positives yesterday. What we're going to be doing today is talking about the Arian Foster situation with Sterling Henton, former Vol quarterback. Thanks.
Glad to be here, John P.
Bobby Scott, former Vol quarterback.
Always.
Vince Ferrara and Chuck Cavalaris as well. These guys, media members, you'll see under them. There you go. See their little names? All right. Arian Foster, the same Arian Foster who came back this spring to the spring game, hung out with the X-Vols, hung out with Butch Jones, the new coach, told the documentary crew that he was paid by someone while he was at Tennessee, and that one of his coaches bought him 40 or 50 tacos, which is a violation, when he couldn't afford food. That made me say this. If you don't follow us on Twitter, by the way, you need to, on the Enrichment Sports Source Twitter feed. Guess nobody ever taught Arian Foster not to bite the hand that feeds, even if it only feeds you tacos. So if you want good information like that, you will watch us you'll follow us on Twitter. Here's the thing. I get a little tired of these guys saying I'm not scared of the NCAA after they're gone. He said they can't do anything to me. No, but they can do stuff to the people who bought you the tacos, the guy who gave you the money to help you. I just think he wants payers to be played. He thinks it's a business. I think he went about it the wrong way. I'll start with you, Sterling. He was in your DJ booth at the spring game.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on this situation, then we'll go around and say them.
I think Aaron was trying to actually bring some alertness to the NCAA during that time in that statement. I think he could have. I felt what he was trying to say, and he could have said it in a different way, not to affect his alma mater. It's a wake-up call to the NCAA. They've got to stop. They got to start earning their money. They're using rules that were printed back in the before World War I. They've got to, there's email, Twitter, everything else is coming out. It's the 21st century, crying out loud. They've got to revisit their rules and find a way to make it more applicable to today's players and today's athletes.
He could have said that. But instead, he said, at Tennessee, I was paid and they can't get me, I'm not scared of them. And then when they came back and asked him about it, he said, you just look at the reaction to this already. He didn't. You're a man who loves UT more than everybody I've ever known. Did this not tick you off?
Well, I just wish he'd said it a different way. Wish he'd have said what he was trying to say in a different way. And a lot of players are not happy with Aaron right now.
Bobby Scott.
You sit there and and it happens so many times, even in politics, I guess. Some people just talk to hear themselves.
You're right.
And I think that's what the situation. Somebody asked him a question, and he feels like he's got to say something. Keep your mouth shut.
Look, if this were somebody from Kentucky ratting out someone from Tennessee, hey, all's fair in love and war. Thad Matta ratted out UT. Bruce Pearl ratted out Illinois years ago. That kind of stuff happens. It's a whole different level of rat, in my mind, when you take the money and then talk about it. To me, you've been in Alabama. Eric Ramsey's not a very popular man in certain circles down there, the former Auburn player, because he did what? Took money, then talked about it. I'm not big on rats. I think this was a rat move. What do you guys think? Are you for the whole paying players? Do you think Foster was right to say this, or what's your thoughts?
Go ahead, Vince. Yeah, I don't think they should outright pay players, but I think they should give them more assistance so they don't have that temptation. The thing is, there's some holes in what Arian said in that he was paying rent when guys aren't paying rent; they're in a dorm. There's also
unless he was out in he had an off-campus place, but still he didn't have to.
Right.
Exactly.
And then
you still needed food, but you got the Gibbs Hall dining room, or you got a place you can go eat.
Yeah, those guys have access to food there. They're not starving. I think that's a little bit of an exaggeration to try to draw attention to it. I'm not a big fan of coming out many years after the fact, and especially like you said, to the school and the people that helped you out.
And it sounded like it was talking about mainly when he was a senior. It's not like this went throughout his career.
Which whoever paid him that is the worst investment since putting your money on Enron. If you're going to pay Arian Foster, the senior year wasn't the year to do
One
it.
year to do it. And you wonder what motive, what are you hoping to accomplish here? It's just like piling on in light of everything else that's been.
Maybe he's trying to make up for the fumble against Alabama that went through the end
You know,
of
it always brings to me one of my favorite lines: "Shut up and play." If you've got something you want to say, there's ways to go about it. But just shut up and play.
Sterling?
Well, my thing is, you know, you never know what his internal clock is saying. I think because of all the money that the NCAA is making, there was an ex-athlete that said during the week when that story came out that back when I played, he was making hundreds of millions. Now they're making multi-billions of dollars. So I think the NCAA needs to find a way to invest in athletes like the NFL and NBA have after they leave college to try to help them through that transition to do things on a normal level.
All right,
that's what I think.
I'm going to close this out with my rant.
Uh-oh.
There were a lot of players yesterday that started wearing APU written on their uniform, All Players United. It's now a reform movement. Players want to be paid. Two things here. One, if you don't think a free education is good, then bypass it. This is not the Army. You were not drafted. Arian Foster was not forced to play. He could have gone into any line of work, could have been a poet. He's a very good poet, could have done that. He could have bought his own way to school, paid off loans for years like most Americans. He could have gone to work in a 40-hour-a-week job working for another man and being told what to do all his life like most Americans. He could have started his own business and lived every day and night with ulcers wondering what could possibly go wrong. If he wants to step into the real world, Arian Foster should do so. I think the bigger issue on this paying player stuff, I've come around. Pay them. I'm all for paying them. Because if you give them a stipend, they're going to say this isn't enough. I say pay them. And then you turn around and say, now, you have to go to college to play. So you'll be charged tuition like a normal student out of the pay. You give us the tuition. If you're out of state, that's tough. You want to be a big boy athlete? That's fine. The pool kid that got ejected yesterday, that's a $50,000 fine. You're a pro now. $50,000 back to me. Oh, and by the way, here's your local IRS agent. You're going to be taxed on every dollar we give you. That's the answer. You want to be treated like an adult? You want to be given money? Deal with the responsibilities. And I don't think these kids are ready for that.
Can I add one thing to that, John P?
No, go ahead.
Please think. I mean, why is it that kids that come on academic scholarship are able to get gifts and guys that come on athletic scholarship are not? Why is that?
Because no one's going to cheat to get a kid on campus because he's the best oboist in the state of Kentucky.
Well, that's yet to be investigated either.
Yeah, okay.
And I guess when they have 100,000 people showing up to watch a math competition,
Yeah,
maybe you can't.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're not going to have people cheating to get this guy's a really good engineer. We need him. Let's give him a car under the table. All right, which would be a very small car if it's under the table. When we come back, Will Overstreet takes a look at an area of concern for Tennessee's defense. Come on back on the Enrichment Sports Source.